don't create concrete errors so early in your career that you want to run away from them. It's a very beautiful profession we are in, but don't be in a hurry. Take your time, learn the trade. Most of the architects get carried away and they feel that why is my package not at the level that it should be? I don't say architects should earn anything less. Okay, great. So, good evening, all. I'm Meghna, Architect Meghna here, and I'm very happy that you have taken time out and joined this session. I'm going to share my screen and start with today's session. The intention is that we run you through the industry trends, we run you through what current architectural practices are looking like, and what is it that you can plan your future around. So getting started, I will start with this quote from Norman Foster. He says, as an architect, you design for the present with an awareness of the past for a future which is essentially unknown. So I'm starting this session with a quote from architect Norman Foster, but I hope you see some light at the end of the tunnel as we run through certain understanding that we have gathered from the current times and how we foresee the architectural profession to evolve. Starting with the first one. So I'm assuming all the audience here is architecture students and they are fresh graduates and they are surely trying to figure out what architectural careers are going to look like. So for me, these are few questions which the architects have asked me. A lot of students have come to me and said that, what is architecture these days and what will it be in 2050? Is freelance life or a corporate grind? What is it for me? What will work better for me? Is AI going to snatch my job? Got to learn the new software every 2 seconds. They are thinking that every day a new software is going to come in and we are going to struggle to understand them and to learn them to stay relevant in the industry. Is green architecture the move or it is not? So there are many questions I'm sure as students you guys are thinking on day-to-day basis and wondering if this is a profession to be in or should you do something different. Moving on. We are looking at navigating the architecture career maze. So, hello everyone. As I said, I'm architect Meghna. I'm the founder and principal of MAP Architects, which I've led for last 14 years. At MAP, we deliver projects across India and globally, and from high-rise to bird aviaries and to the airports. We have done many projects. I've had a good first half of my career as a consultant working with mid-size, large-size firms internationally and globally. And the second half of my career is now shaping up what I call as a team, MAP Architects, where we are trying to do projects of all sorts. So I would be sharing my journey on and off while I take you through the insights of how you can make your own career rewarding in architecture. So as we all know, we are all doing some or the other R&D on softwares. We are trying to learn many things. I also tried my hands onto it. I tried some things on Midjourney, on DALL-E, on ChatGPT. And while I was trying to, understand what is in it for everybody in the industry, I just typed in, what will the city look like in 2050? So these are two visuals which ChatGPT gave me, and one is, I think, from Copilot. And these are the images which kind of shook me. It really got me thinking, is this the kind of future we want to be part of? Is that what we are going to create? I went a step ahead and I said, what will the city look like in 2050 if we prioritize green initiatives and sustainable planning? Now, this is where I feel that we are trying to understand what is our role here, how we are going to be contributing to this kind of a growth in 2050. And trust me, what I got as a result was this futuristic city with lush green vertical gardens, eco-friendly architecture, renewable architecture, a lot of pedestrian-friendly streets, and I would say smart transportation systems. So that seemed very interesting, and that told me that probably it is worth being around, and this is something you want to be part of in the making of a futuristic green city, if I can call it so. And that is when the thought comes in, which is, trust me, I'm an architect and I know stuff. And this is what we are taught in college, in early stages of our career. We believe that I'm the one who knows it all and I will bring this dream to reality. But no, it's not just the architect. There are many stakeholders in this journey, and they help us create move this dream to a reality. So this next slide that I brought for you guys is talking about all the key stakeholders in the real estate. I've tried summarizing few of them, but yes, there are a lot more. So primarily, architects work with the first one. If you can see this well, this is the first category. We are looking at clients, developers, tenants, end users, licensing agencies. We are looking at government and regulatory agencies. So we are looking at all of these stakeholders who will be the primary team which will be deciding the project roadmap. So if I start, the clients and developers, they are the ones who are early investors into the project. The tenants and end users are who we are thinking about as we continue to do our design process. There are licensing agencies which continue to tell us what the bylaws are going to be like and how we have to meander our way through those standards which are set for every city that we work in. There'll be government and regulatory authorities who will actually sanction your plans. Going ahead, legal advisors, they are very important component we need to know in this list of stakeholders because they are the ones who are identifying what legalities are possible, are actually to be taken care while buying the land or even when the sale happens for the property. So these legal advisors also are people architects end up interacting with. There are IPCs. IPCs are nothing but international property consultants. If I have to give you an example, they are JLLs, Colliers, and many other firms which are now prevalent, are practicing in India, and they tend to guide the client on the product mix. They tend to tell them how a particular project will be viable in a certain area that it is planned. So many things go in this particular list. The second one is a design and consultancy team. So here, you can imagine this as my office, for instance. So here we're talking about in-house architects, designers, and drafters. We're talking about BIM engineers. We have consultants who we are constantly coordinating with. They design the structures, they designed MEP, they are part of electrical and plumbing, there are interior designers. So this becomes an architect's in-house team, which is constantly working alongside you. At the same time, there are quantity surveyors who are estimating the budgets and estimating the materials that are going in. There are many other supporting consultants like traffic consultant, lift consultant. All of those are bought into the project based on the project requirement. So that becomes your consultancy team. Going forward, you have project execution and site coordination. Now, here, many people are engaged who are going to monitor your site largely. So then there are project managers, there are PMC consultants, there are contractors and builders, site engineers, site supervisors, vendors, and suppliers. So all of these people are on ground. An architect continues to go to site and supervise how the site is progressing and how work is progressing at site. The last but not the least are your internal operation teams that you're dealing with. These are the team members who are looking after your in-house team. So your admin staff, your marketing, your development team, finance team, IT and support. Sometimes it's R&D also and business development. So I think these are, I would say, the primary stakeholders who you work with, and an extension to that is a secondary set of stakeholders, which we can discuss in detail, and they also are influencing your engagement on the project. So this is the entire list, what you see here, but knowing the fact that architect is at the epicenter of all of them. And he's the one who's actually tying up all these institutions, all these agencies, and making sure that the project is shaping up at site as planned. Okay. This one slide I've put together for you guys to understand what decision-making distribution is currently prevalent in the construction industry. So if you see, the client is primarily at the 30%, whereas architects is at the second best of 25%. And then there are engineers and contractors and many other people who are influencing the decision making in the project. So the graph explains that architect is not everything. There are many other stakeholders who are influencing the decision at site, of which you are right next to the client and you are the one who's influencing the client the most. This particular slide is talking about the architecture process. So in the client consultation, which is the first stage of your yeah, in the client consultation, you're generally meeting the client to understand their needs, their budgets, their vision. You're the one who's the first person which steps into the discussion when the client creates a vision for a particular project. The second thing that comes in the entire process is your conceptual design. So this is where the architect generally starts ideating through sketches, through initial concepts, and starts giving in. So coming to the second particular stage, we covered client consultation. We are moving on to conceptual design. Now over here, what happens is that the architects are generally developing sketches and they are trying to create concepts in whatever best format they can. Typically, these are feasibility exercises. So you may want to do some little crude work and still gauge if the client is understanding your ideas. Many a times the client is expecting a final product from your side, and the architects do indulge and create a solution around the problem statement that is laid out by the client. The third one is where you are in the design development. Now, here you are refining the chosen concept, incorporating all the feedback that you have, and creating detailed plans, drawings, and specifications. So, this is the stage where a lot of working happens at the back end, and a lot of engagement happens with the consultants who are basically shaping up the project for you. So imagine it's your building is like a human body, and your spine and your organs are coming in from the various consultants. So they are the one who start now bringing in all these components for the human body to be complete and to be taken to site. The next one that I'm talking about is the construction documentation, where you are primarily looking at creating all the technical documents, such as blueprints, your construction manual, everything that the contractor can read at site and start converting it into actual building. You also have to do a lot of construction administration, wherein you are supposed to actually uh, do a knowledge transfer to the people who are doing execution at site and explain them what every drawing is supposed to be interpreted like. So many a times this knowledge sharing goes on for a few days. And once the contractors are on the same page, you can sit back, relax, and make sure that the building is shaping up well. The last but not the least is the project completion. And this is where there is a lot of NOC and checks that happens at site. And the client gives you the right to issue a completion certificate. And thereby people are able to come and start living in the building or start occupying the offices that you have built. So this entire architecture process is most of the times planned, and we all know how this will progress. Many a times as freshers, you are part of the conceptual design and design development. Some offices will only keep you part of the construction documentation, where you are probably, as they say, doing more toilets than anything else. But no, that's not the case. I think nowadays offices are much engaging, and everybody gets a chance to be part of any of these journeys that the project is on. I'll go to the next one. Okay. So now coming back to the architectural firms that we have small firms, we have medium firms, we have large firms, and we have global firms. So try understanding what all of these firms are doing. Typically, an architecture firm is a small architecture firm has 10 to 20 employees. They are generally doing a lot of hands-on work. There's a lot of personalized involvement of the principal and the team under them with the client, and the design innovation and client relationships are very, very important to this firm. Compared to that, the medium-sized firms are around 20 to 100 employees, and here they can take you can take larger and more complex projects, and people are generally trained to manage multiple kinds of projects. So multiple typologies are what people are trained to handle. Whereas in a small firm, somebody might be just stuck at doing only houses or only small interiors. But as the firm grows, you start getting more and more expertise, and you're able to contribute and uh, provide better to the clientele. The third category is large firms where you generally have expertise to manage skyscrapers, you have communities and institutional projects, and extensive resources are available, and all the senior consultants come alongside to deliver each and every kind of projects that lands on their table. A global firm, of course, is an international firm, and here you can manage to deliver globally, and there's a lot of overlap across teams. And that's the advantage of being part of a global firm. So, types of architectural firms, I'm sure we're all aware of. Also, how would you maneuver your career being within a firm? So when you join a firm, you are an intern architect. You go on to become an architectural designer, junior architect, senior architect, associate, senior associate, principal architect, and partner. So these structures are very different for different firms. They structure them as per their convenience, but largely there is a beautiful ladder which is set for us to grow and to be learning and growing with the senior consultant by your side. The intention is that you get a hand holding as you learn and grow in the team. You're not suddenly put to handle concrete errors at site. I personally always recommend that as an architect, you should do at least 4 to 5 years of association with a mid-size, small-size firm, whatever is convenient, wherever you are able to get access to. You must learn and understand the profession slightly better, as against taking this leap of I'm going to start off my firm. It's quite a fad these days that, oh, I just got alongside my friends and I'm now running a firm. But trust me, you either will be stuck at a very small scale of works, and there is no way you will be able to learn things because internet doesn't say it all. These are some things which you have to learn hands-on, and the best mentor that you have is always your senior in your offices. Of course, after doing a certain set of projects, you must try and start off a firm. It's a different ballgame altogether, but we'll get to that as we progress. Now, the second question, which a lot of people have asked, is should I have a freelance life or I should have a corporate grind? Now, this is another very important decision you need to make in your careers. What are the simple pros of being in the freelance life? So you get control over your work hours, you get project choices, you're able to now have opportunity to explore unique design ideas with your own creative freedom that you have. You can create niche opportunities for yourself and specialize in a specific area of interest. What are the cons of being freelancer is you have inconsistent income, and your reliance on securing client is very important. You will have to keep waiting, be at client's mercy, to get your payments out, and the chase is very, very different, and that kind of stress may stress you out in the early days. What are the other cons? Your business management. You need to handle your contracts, your marketing, and your finances. So when you are somewhere in between, you've started getting small projects and you want somebody else to manage it. To manage and give out salaries or extended perks to somebody else seems very tricky unless you start cracking large number of projects and you scale up very quickly. Talking about isolation, yeah, lack of structured support from the team or a corporate environment could also cause burn. And hence, early days of your career, I think it's best to not choose freelancing. But yeah, let's get on to the corporate grind. There is a stable salary, there are benefits, there is consistent workload, but at the same time, I would say structured career progression is something you need to plan for yourself and define roles and responsibility as you take this journey in a particular organization. I'll come to this point in detail, but I want you to know how you should structure your career and not just be at the mercy of the firm that you got into. Many a times, a lot of people feel that, oh, I need to get into so and so firm without realizing even if this firm is doing what my career progression I have planned for myself, right? So these are some questions you should ask before you join any firm. Collaboration, yes, there's huge amount of collaboration that you're able to have in these kind of corporate setups through multiple consultants who are very, very senior at times, and they come with certain knowledge base. Resources, when we talk about, you have ability to have access to a lot of advanced tools and softwares, and the project management support helps you to move your projects faster. Your churn of ideation to actual execution at site is also sometimes extremely fast. So, giving you an example, when I started working in Bangalore, the first IT park that I saw come up was in first 3 years of my career, and not just one building, 7 buildings from concept to execution is what I could be part of. So that was the advantage I felt being part of a large scale project and a large firm. Now, what are the cons of the corporate grind? Limited creative freedom. Yes, being a junior, you might not get that freedom and you may be asked to do a lot of repetitive work, which can be frustrating at times, but you need to, create you have to make your point and you have to try and gauge as much experience you can. A lot of work-life balance is not possible because the pressure is high and long hours and working is always prevalent in these firms. Decision making is also highly left to the upper management, so there is less autonomy, if I can say so. So there are pros and cons of each, but it's very important that you think through the career graph that you want to be on and then choose the place and the kind of work that you want to take up. Only suggestion that I always have for the youngsters is that don't step into too many boats and make it miserable for yourselves. Try to focus on one thing at a time and give your 100% over there. I'm moving to another question where what is the future? Okay, some text there. Is AI going to snatch my job? Now, this is something not just you, everybody in the industry is thinking and is wondering that how is AI going to change the way we work? So this is one interesting post I had read recently. AI in its current state isn't entirely production ready for the architectural visualization. However, its rapid evolution is nothing short of remarkable. We stand at the cusp of a revolution where the lines distinguishing traditional methods from AI-driven approaches are becoming increasingly indistinct. Buckle up for some exciting times ahead. And I truly feel this at this point that for architects, it is this time that you will observe a lot of change in the way we work, in the way we visualize, the way we interpret designs across the table to the client. So this is only going to go more and more rapid, but it's this time when you will feel that things are moving much faster for a professional journey that we are taking as compared to earlier days. So there is this little small problem I will bring in to explain you. Now over here, I took a small interesting exercise. I said, let's do a ideation and a visualization for creating a streetscape. So I asked AI that uh, what is the current streetscape looking like in India? And this is one visual that I got. And it told me what are the challenges. Currently, it is saying that there is traffic congestion, there is lack of proper sidewalks, there is poor waste management, noise pollution, your air quality is bad, there's inconsistent road maintenance, and many more. So it continued to tell me what are the current challenges. But at the same time, when I told, okay, tell me what could be the solutions to all of these problems that we have, it started giving me not only through the text, but through visually interpreting the same solution for the same. And this is where it started showing solar panel, it started showing pedestrian friendly sidewalks, urban gardens, streetscape. So earlier, when architects would take a particular visual and a problem statement, they would start by analyzing the problem, listing down the problem areas, and a lot of time and effort would go identifying them and listing them out and presenting. And today you can actually do this a little more quickly. And of course, this could be the starting point. You have another 10 to add. So this is where the pace at which things will be done, and you will not have to wait in an organization to put your idea across. So earlier, if I was working in a firm, I would have to create these sketches, do some massing, do some 3D, get time from my consultant, senior consultant, and tell them this is what is running on my mind, and this is how I think it should transform. A particular design should change this way. But now uh, you can do these little exercise, put it out to your senior management, or even put it out if you're a freelancer, put it out to the social media, and start getting feeler on your ideation and your thought processes that you're working with. So these are the perks that you will have moving forward. Very, very important in this maze that you're navigating through is for you to choose the career path and the typologies that you will be working on. So when I say typologies, this is one thing which I have realized we as architects tend to miss. I will just go to the next slide to explain. So now if you see this particular slide, you will see that there are many architectural typologies which are currently existing in the architectural industry, and we as architects tend to say we know it all. But trust me, to become a architect who understands hospitals, it takes nothing less than 10 to 15 years. It takes nothing less than 5 to 7 years to even gauge what a hospitality building could look like, how hotels are designed, or how a particular retail spaces are designed. It's getting more and more complex. And it is very important that we, instead of chasing the firms and the places we want to work, we identify that particular architect who is doing these buildings. Many of us identify a architect who is doing sustainable approach, for instance. But it is very important, and I think architects miss to do this kind of evaluation at the early days of their career, that what kind of building types, is it the high rise, is it the institutional building that interests me, and if I'm even wanting to do marine architecture, who is doing it in the country, how do I get to that particular firm or that architect and start working with that particular team. So this is very, very important for you to define in earlier days. Think in your mind that okay, after 10 years, if I've started my firm and I choose to be an architect who is going to do marine architecture, then what is it that will take me that route? Instead of trying to bag a job in the immediate vicinity or immediate connect that you get. And I don't think that should be the best route. But at the same time, once you know, do take those learnings and lessons. You have a lot of online lessons and mentors now available who guide you. So when I say 10 to 15 years, I'm talking about the time when we were learning and growing. The same knowledge now comes like a capsule or in online sessions, and now you can just swallow that capsule and move ahead by 5, 7 years at least. So do take those initiatives and learn the typologies which will be of interest to you. The second one is modern job landscape will change. It will be influenced by the technology and all the globalization that will happen. So it will be very important for you to understand that time and again and keep upgrading. Third is career planning. Like I said, it's very important that you keep tracking the job market. If you see that the market is swaying towards precast buildings or aluminum construction, aluminum shuttering based construction, you need to learn that trade. You need to know how these buildings are built and how to make them more and more sustainable. while you're planning your career. So technology will not only come through the tech and the AI, it will also come in the type of materials which are being used, the concrete mixes that are now available, the self-healing concrete. There's so many things that are coming in. So we will have to continue to learn and grow in those areas as well. And of course, like I said earlier, AI and the future is something which will shape the way we work, and we will have to go by the trends and create new opportunities for ourselves. I'll go on to the next level of discussion on shift to idea-driven value. So this is one thing which I have recently gotten a little deeper into. We all are trying to do execution level of work. When I say execution level of work, we are very excited now that AI is able to pick our Excel and it's making reports out of it. It is doing my Excel calculation 4 times faster, or it's creating documents for me 5 times faster. I think the execution based jobs will not be the jobs going forward, because AI themselves will continue to do them. But you will be able to make a niche for yourself if you will learn the art of prompting and ideating with AI. So when I say that, I clearly mean that you need to develop traits where you are thinking alongside the AI and you are able to create ideas which others are not able to. So if you have created that structure in your mind through your software analysis and your learnings, you are very, very relevant to the market. So imagine a senior goes to somebody and says that I want to design this particular bird's aviary, and this is my area program, and this is how I want it to be laid out, and this is how the massing should look like. Somebody might start doing a lot of execution work of creating Excels and area distribution. This is my chart, this is the room space, and all of that. Whereas somebody goes ahead and creates a completely beautiful idea of what this aviary can look like, and has trained the AI to understand the location specifics, the contextual aspect of the place where this building is going to be built, and allow the software to create the form and make very unique presentation to your senior. I think you'll always get more perks and more brownie points for being in that space. So I always insist that look at idea driven value that you can bring to the firm, work and focus on that. The next one is also very interesting to me. Start upskilling the AI and make it a better human being who is your buddy, who listens to you, who's always understanding you much better. So you continue to talk to your AI or your buddy through various platforms that you're sitting on. You could be on ChatGPT, you could be on any other, but try and train your buddy to know what you're asking. So simple example is that I continue to train the buddy who is sitting next to me and keep telling him that you need to give me a sustainable solution for this problem that I have. I'm thinking like this, how you would think. So, I am always debating and constantly talking to my to my AI, who is going to be my long-term um, parallel designer, or I would say a support buddy to design. So work on these interesting concepts which are coming up now. Over here, I'm talking about, of course, ideation, design, all of us are very interested about, but I think a very important feature is to know what the agencies are which are regulating Indian architectural market. So when we talk about MOEF, this is Environmental and Forest Ministry. There is RERA, which is deciding what should happen in the residential segment, how people should buy and sell their apartments. And there is IGBC, which is, of course, Green Building, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Make sure you're part of all the initiatives that are coming up from these platforms, because they are time and again upgrading you. They are trying to tell you what will become the mandated rule. I would say currently construction industry is slightly fluid. The National Building Code is the only one which is very, very, very stringent, and your local bylaws, of course. But many other will now start putting a foot down. Like MOEF is also very strict about how you understand the environmental concerns and how you implement in your building designs. So make sure all of these are known to you and you start reading them and start aligning with what they're announcing for the professionals. This is where I'm going out of the way to say it's very important for you to build a professional brand and leverage social media and networking. It's very, very important that you make sure your LinkedIn, Twitters, and networking platforms are have very well kept and they are visible to people for all the upgrades that you're doing and you're learning and growing as a professional. This is where I think I already covered this for you, but this is where I'm saying communication, adaptability, and problem solving will continue to be the three main skill sets which you will have to continue to work on day-to-day basis. Right. And of course, like we summarized, make sure you're saving a lot of time through all the automation that is the technology is giving you now. Enhance your productivity and make yourself smarter and faster. Consistent quality, you have to maintain a certain quality of output that you are creating in terms of the product that you give to the customer or to the site or to the contractors. And create a personalized assistant for yourself, which could be your digital buddy. Now, what do we do with all the time that we get out of this? Yes, we maintain a work-life balance. We continue to achieve fulfillment inside and outside the office. So definitely prioritize self-care because we are in an era where we will be able to do much, much better product in a very, very small time. And we will be able to serve a lot more clients in a very less time. So with all of that, the burn is still something you should be concerned about. So prioritize self-care, set boundaries and limit in terms of what work and what work you do and how you move your personal life and don't lead to burnouts and seek fulfillment, pursue your passions and interests outside the workspace and cultivate a sense of purpose. So all of this is something I would recommend you ensure for yourself. Advancing to the next level, identify your goals, seek mentorship. This is very, very important in our profession. Make sure you, after you've done all your analysis about where you are heading and how you are reaching those goals for yourself, ensure you seek mentorship because that is where you may get the leap that you wanted for very long. You were trying very hard, a certain hack which you wanted to have to get your approvals understood or have a project move to the next level. The mentors are extremely essential if you want to get to the top very quickly and demonstrate leadership at any stage that you are. Make sure you are taking up new responsibilities and showcasing your skills, and that is what will empower you in your career. So thank you so much. I appreciate, and I just hope a very, very high level insight on how you can improvise and make your career successful in the field of architecture. There's no need to worry. There is nobody's taking away your jobs. Nobody is taking anything away from the architects. We are the ones who are here to stay. But follow a few things which will keep you ahead of the rest. Any questions? I think over to you, Sneha.
Yes, ma'am, the session was actually very insightful. I'm really sure that all of our participants, would have really navigated through the queries that they had, or they already had a few doubts that they would have wanted to clear regarding their career. They would have been confused. So I'm sure that people would, really have had a really good session about this. And I would like to open the comments for AMA session. Ask Me Anything session with Meghna ma'am. So please drop your questions with your names in the chat box.
Okay, I have one question from, I think, Varun. Varun is asking that if I have to decide what is the best typology to take up in my career, how do I go about understanding that aspect? Or what is it uh, that is more lucrative in terms of the career that I take up. So Varun, we will do another session tomorrow. We are doing a session for residential architecture, which is my forte. And then going forward, we will do some more sessions on different other typologies which are there in architecture and give you a good insight on that. I'm sure you will be able to gauge something from that and understand multiple these typologies and see which one is of interest to you. Yeah. Yes, Neha, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. So I have a few other questions from
Mhm.
students. So they're asking, what skills should young architects prioritize today to stay competitive in the evolving architecture industry?
If I have to talk about skills, design thinking is what I will put on the top. Number two would be your software skill sets, which will be very, very helpful. We ourselves are a BIM based firm, so we ensure a lot of firefighting is taken care by the softwares. So I think in the current times, Rhino and Revit are some of the softwares we are all very happy to use. Do not waste too much time on rendering softwares because the AI is already doing it so beautifully. I don't think you need to learn Lumions and most of those rendering softwares. I would suggest things which will help you generate good, precise design and convert them into construction documentation would be of essential use. And anything and everything that facilitates design thinking should be prioritized.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I have one more question by Varun again. So, are there any tools that are worth paying for AI related?
For AI, I think the paid versions of ChatGPT and Copilot are already giving very good result for initial level of thinking. But if you want to take a particular sketch of yours or certain idea that you've already generated to another level, initial SketchUp models and initial ideation which you have done in Revit also can be very neatly transformed in a lot of softwares which are called AI render, re-render. There are just multiple of them in the market. There is something called miml.in. These are some beautiful softwares which are taking your images and transforming them into renders with a lot of prompt that goes in. I still don't see good softwares to handle master planning renders. I don't see very good softwares to handle interiors yet. Although Instagram is filled with it, but I have not been able to find anything relevant still.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, I think a lot of people would have had questions about this. So, the next question would be, in a post-pandemic world, how has the demand for commercial or residential spaces changed, and what new design trends are emerging as a result of the pandemic?
I think pandemic is now almost 6 years. Yeah, but what
Yes.
has drastically changed, I see, is work from home and remote working is becoming a lot more prevalent in the offices. Many projects which were designed to accommodate thousands of IT employees are now bare shells. It's very strange, but people prefer
Hmm.
not walking up to the office, or they do 3 days a week, they do 2 days a week.
Hmm.
Offices
Hmm.
are also having a lot of saving in terms of accommodating. Say if I'm an office of 1,000 people and I have to accommodate people for just 2 days or 3 days, I can very well manage with 10,000 square feet of an office, whereas if I had to accommodate all 100, it would be a lot more. So this kind of diversity is helping the offices to manage inflow of the staff, but at the same time, the reliability on the softwares is very high to gauge performance and to make sure that people are delivering as expected in their jobs. So there's a little for architectural practices, I feel it is still full time in office because a lot of one-on-one is required and people like to overlap with each other. But I think in IT offices, most of them have moved online. Residential, if I have to say, yes, it is still booming. A lot of projects are shaping up, and a lot of bigger floor plate people are asking for. They are not happy to have 2 BHKs and 2.5 BHKs.
Hmm. Hmm.
Most of our projects are now converted in apartment segment to 3.5, 3+, if I can say. That's the segment people are preferred, people prefer to invest in. And of course, a lot of villas are coming up, and in cities where there is luxury of land and space availability is higher, people do prefer buying villas. And have a more spacious place for them to stay.
Okay, ma'am. There's one more question from Arnav Sharma. So he's asking, what are some jobs related to BIM in architecture?
Um, in BIM, you start as BIM architect, of course. Once you have learned basic modeling and you understand the basic techniques of putting the building together, you join a firm as a BIM architect. Yes, you are able to claim a better package as compared to a regular architect who joins a firm. After which you should learn the 3D. 3D is the basic, the 4D, 5D, 6D, and I think now it's gone up to 8D if I know that, where you start scheduling a particular project. You start understanding the BOQs and you're able to even get the materials identified in your BOQs, which are generated within the software, and you can be part of the QS and the estimation part of the project. So personally, BIM is a space where you can keep learning and keep upgrading. The job that you start off with is, of course, a BIM architect, but you become the BIM manager, then you are head of the projects. The only irony that I see is many firms treat BIM as an external office. Like if I'm working with L&T, for instance, and I'm an architect firm, they will engage the third company which will do BIM. And that is where personally I feel it fails. BIM is best utilized when it is part of an architectural practice and when the
Hmm.
architects themselves are on the software. And there is no loss of information in Chinese whispers that go around. The client asked something and we did something else, and the BIM manager did something else. So there are multiple roles you can take up, being a part of the architecture firm and make most of this software and grow. It is it is no good to become a draftsman in a very high flying organization. Instead, be the architect of the project, do it on BIM and see it come up. And that is the best journey you can have if you want to do it in BIM. And not just lose the track of some project in US which you are sitting somewhere and drafting, and nobody tells you why you're drafting that particular aspect of your building.
Yes, ma'am. I think it's very relevant that BIM and architecture teams are connected and they are always under communication so that the project does not lack in any manner. Going on to the next question, is there scope for high rise in India considering the relatively low lying status of most cities in the countries besides Mumbai? So, this is a question by Varun.
High rise, according to me, is a very sustainable format of development. I'll give you a simple example that if you take a land of 10 acres and you try to accommodate villas and low-lying buildings over there, you will pretty much be left with no ground to have any amenity or anything to do other than your building and the road. And hence, you would be densely utilizing the natural resource and the limited resource that we have. That's the land that we have on earth, right? So when you take this entire layer of houses and stack them up and go high, you are then able to identify multiple other areas for amenities. You have much bigger landscape areas, and you have football ground, cricket ground. People do so many other things. So for me, to go high rise is the most sustainable way of development and construction. But that doesn't mean that if you saved 10 acres of land, if you got your building footprint to be sitting on 1 acre, doesn't mean the rest of the area you start again making it congested with amenities and buildings and all of that. You need to keep the green as green. So once the ratio is understood and you have stacked up everything else in the tower, make sure that the rest is left for the nature to thrive, and leave a lot of virgin land for people to enjoy the greenery and the amenities.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I think that's a very important topic because we do not want to lose out on the green factor when we're still building high-rise apartments or high-rise infrastructure as such. So another question we have. Yes,
Also to add to this, Neha, when you are working in in a stack format, you are also
ma'am.
sharing the services, your water
Yes.
supply, your
Mm.
electrical systems. All of that is in the sharing, and hence you're
Yes.
not repeating all of this for every single household that you would have created. So that's another layer of sustainable design
Second.
that you bring in.
Yes, ma'am. Uh, so we have another question from Preksha.
Hmm.
Hi, ma'am. Firstly, thank you so much for such a beautiful and insightful session. So my question for you as a student coming into the field, what's the most common mistakes young architects make? So that's a question.
Most common mistake I have seen is the hurry that they are in to start their practice. That's the most common mistake, and they fail terribly, so much so that they had to leave the profession. It's a very beautiful profession we are in, but don't be in a hurry. Take your time, learn the trade, apply it in right places. Don't create concrete errors so early in your career that you want to run away from them. Don't go to, I may be saying this on the platform, don't go sit in developer office in the search of the extra perk that you want to make. It might just drain you out, and you would miss the beautiful journey that you can be on. So these are few things I feel that, very earlier I'm comparing my packages to IT Geek, I'm comparing my packages to people who are not doing architecture, but anything relevant, but twice and thrice the salary that they're earning. But you need to understand that you are a professional who will always be relevant. If you are an architect, your salary is going to get distributed. You can be an architect till 100 years of age, right? You will always be relevant. Your salary just simply gets distributed across that tenure of 40 years, 50 years of professional earning that you will have. So don't start comparing yourselves to the IT guys, because they can, what I have seen is they earn huge packages earlier, and then they are suddenly, some technology shifts happen, and then they are just busy doing farming or trying to sell something or trying to do something parallel, which is not too relevant to their learnings. So I think most of the architects get carried away and they feel that why is my package not at the level that it should be? I don't say architects should earn anything less, but don't be in a hurry of making that perk and kill the golden goose, because eventually you will have a comparatively better earning.
Yes, I think that message needs to be put out to everybody who wants to pursue a career in architecture. So the next question would be, is the scope for a young architect better in abroad or in India itself? And what's better, a master's after BArch or to start work and gain experience?
Very tricky this question is.
Yeah.
Uh, So again, I remember when I was out in the market and I was starting my practice. I was fortunate to be with architect Brinda Somaya in Mumbai, and there was somebody who was a classmate who did her studies abroad, and then she said, "Well, I'm back in town." But I felt that the package that was offered to me was the same offered to this lady, because they felt that what she learned abroad is not as relevant as much I was able to learn being on the project. So if I talk about the
Mm,
firms, they do consider you at the same level. 2 years abroad, you learned, and 2 years you worked in an office diligently, you'll pretty much be sitting at the same level in terms of the earnings that you have. But in terms of knowledge and roadmap, I think you start doing better uh, for yourself. The only challenge I feel is that when you are studying abroad, there's a very high chance that you will end up working over there for longer. And that comes from the fact that most of us do a lot of investment. None of these degrees are less than 75 lakhs to 1 crore. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that kind of money that when you put in any education that you take up, you would want to earn something, and then feel proud that okay, now you've invested so much and hence you should be earning. But when you continue to work for 5 to 7 years in the
mm,
international firms or in the locations that you are in, you get too comfortable, and then to come back and find relevance to the construction industry in India is very difficult, and you may not be of much relevance unless you're joining some IPC or something else, because the construction techniques are different, your learning is very different. So I've always seen that masters is important. It is good to take that exposure. But if you choose to be away for longer, you are less relevant to the local market. And many a times, I have not seen a comeback. So if you are a very family person and you think that you want to have a startup in India, like again, everything should align to your goals. So if you are if you family matters, I want to do a startup in India, I want to do this in India. I'm very patriotic to my country and I want to see my country grow. If these are your goals, then do your studies and quickly hop back and get to what you're supposed to do here. But if you think that yes, I want to make greater perks in life, I want to have more comfortable life for myself and things like that, then international universities and extended jobs are the way forward. But you need to, again, as I said, set your goal right. Because I have
Yes, ma'am.
seen very less comeback. I have not seen much of a comeback and a successful comeback from people who have gone abroad.
Yes, ma'am. I think it's a doubt that's prevailing almost even today, that to do masters or to do a job right after we graduate. And I think you've cleared the doubt to many people. So the next question would be, what
Just one
role?
more thing, if I can
Yes, ma'am.
add, just one more thing is, guys, if you are, don't take up masters as soon as you start working, because you will get to learn something of interest and work for a year or two is what my recommendation would be before you even decide what master's degree is going to matter. And masters need not be as far as US and UK. Consider Singapore, consider next door countries, consider Indian masters, like consider all of these opportunities and then make that decision, because half of the learning is now on the internet as well. So also consider that aspect of learning. So if you can be in your job and take a degree online, that is another opportunity that you should explore.
Yes, ma'am. I think that's a hack everyone would like to, try with along with their job. So it's one kind of balance they find. So
Yes.
the next question would be, what role do government projects or public works play in an architect's career, and how can young professionals access these opportunities, like in their early career or probably 2-3 years after their experience? How do they access government projects and public work?
Well, yes, I would say it's a different gamut altogether. I'm not the expert at it, but to help you, I think, Sneha, I will put up a session together where I'll get one of the experts from the government sector and have them have a one-on-one with them. But I personally feel that it'll be wise to hear from them directly. I will make sure this session is arranged for you.
Yes, I think it's something that people would want to know as to what they can tap into the government jobs aspect of architecture role.
Yes.
So I think we're done with the questions. It was a really great session today.
Okay, great. So I think I'm very happy that you guys took time, and at AECORD we want to bring in some more interactive session. I want you to just message us if anything like this is of interest and you want to have anything specific being run through in terms of the career, in terms of industry specific expertise that people have. Please feel free, drop us a line, and would like to help you understand better and grow better in your careers. So thank you, everybody. It was really nice having this interaction. Thank
Ma'am,
you.
there's one
Thanks,
one
Neha.
last question. There's one last
Okay,
question. Sorry, we have a question in the last.
sure.
What do they look for in interns seeking a job abroad, and how is it any different compared to India? So this is a question by Arya Jadhav.
Yes, so I think the portfolio is the key to this. I definitely want to run you through some portfolios, Arya. In one of the next sessions, we will compile and tell you the comparison, how architectural practices in India evaluate portfolios, whereas what is it that international firms evaluate in their offices. We will do a comparative session for you and we'll give you an insight on that. I think that's a good ask, and we will bring it up in the next session.
Ma'am, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
And